Hi and welcome to a new video. In this video I wanted to go through the feature that's built into our Asus routers for the system log. So as you can see on the screen here, it's under advanced settings within the web GUI. So you can't currently access this via the Asus app, so you need to log into your router using your browser, but of course you can do that via a tablet, your mobile phone even, or your desktop computer. Mac or Windows, so it doesn't matter what device you have, as long as you're using your internet browser. You just type the IP address of your router. So normally that's defaults to like 192.168.50.1, and then you just type in your login Asus router details, so your admin details. Once you've logged in, you just scroll down and you'll be able to see advanced settings, and you can see down here all the advanced settings that you've got. And so we're going to be looking at the system log. So currently I did a survey on my channel to see how many people are actually viewing it, and surprisingly that it's 57% of people have never even looked at it. And then also around 40% of people, sometimes if there's an issue they might look at it, and only 3% of regularly look at it. So again, the numbers show that most people probably won't even know it's there, or even bother looking at it. So I just wanted to go through and see all the tabs on the top and what they actually show, and also how we can use these going forward to basically see the status of our Wi-Fi Asus routers. So it doesn't matter what model it is, using them and see what we can do to actually fix any issues if we are having some, and identify them. So as I said, it's under advanced settings. I just click on system log, and you can see here now it's basically loaded up. You can see here on my Asus router you've got the general log, wireless log, DHCP, IPv6, the routing table, port forwarding, and connections. So there's quite a few logs here basically up here. So as we start up here, we can see that this is the system general log, and the system general log basically connects basically everything together. So you could see a lot of detail of what's going on in the actual log. So you'll be able to see what frequent reconnections and disconnections, other devices that are having issues, disassociation on Wi-Fi, deauthentication issues, and then some of the values for it also show for RSSI. So that's the received signal strength indicator for your Wi-Fi. You'll have kernel messages, so this is your operating system, like the firmware, if there's any system issues there, and of course any system operations. So that will include on here firmware update checks. If you've got traffic analyzer actually started, it will basically show you any information around that. Also around AI mesh, VPN tunneling, it will have information on there, and also about the roaming assistant, the AI mesh that we have under there for roaming as well. So again, it will show you a lot of information. In essence, it's a detailed record of all Wi-Fi client activity, and showing, hopefully it will show some kind of pattern or frequent disconnections and reconnections. If you're having that issue, you'll be able to see that on this log, and you'll be able to see which exact device is causing the issue, or having the issue, and how we can try and fix it. So this basically log captures all the normal background operations of the router. So it does include a lot of information. I'm not surprised no one really looks at it, to be honest, because it is very in-depth, and probably a bit trying to understand it is a bit overwhelming. So you can see at the bottom here, so we can start with here the system time. So that's actually the time of day, and you can see here, and includes daylight savings. The uptime is the time amount of the router has been switched on and hasn't been restarted. So you can see here, since the last restart, it's been 6 days and 21 hours and 13 minutes and 21 seconds. You next have the remote log server. So the remote log server is here if you have a NAS or an Unraid server or anything like that running on your network. You'll probably have a syslog program or Docker actually running in there, and you can type the IP address of that server, and basically all the logs that get saved here will automatically get transferred to that log server, so you can have it all in one central place. And of course it will keep much more information there because it will be able to store a lot more of the logs, because the logs can build up over time, so of course they clears themselves within the router, so you're making sure that you don't run out of memory. And the next one is just as it says here, it's using the default 514 port number when it connects to your router log server. Again, if you customized your log server already with a different port for security, you could just update it here. And once you've updated these two boxes here, you just click apply, and then it will start saving your all these system logs and the basically into your system server, like I said, on your NAS, unraid servers and things like that, if you've got anything running. So if we just scroll down, you can see here where are the options. We've got clear and save. So here you can actually clear the log, and then you can save it. So this will save it to your local drive. So of course you could save this as a file into your downloads folder or any of your documents folder, so you can store it for later, and then review it. It does save it as a .text file, so it'll open up any text editor, but it is advisable perhaps to use something not like a basic text editor, putting my words out, basically, because then it won't show the formatting correctly sometimes. So as we said here, what it's actually showing here on the router system log section, it does show a lot of information, and it can be quite overwhelming there. So it can show all about what's happening in the background when it's basically going out to check for upgrades on the firmware, your disconnections of your devices. It'll give you the deauthentication association and a lot of that information here. So you can see this actually running back and forward here as the server's going, and it does have all this information around the IP address as well. So you can see the reasons, and it does, if you scroll, you can go all the way along, and it should give you some information sometimes. So you can see here around previous authentication no longer valid, and as we said about the RCSSI, so basically that's the receive signal strength indicator that Wi-Fi uses to see how strong the signal is to devices. And also the router uses this signal strength and this number basically to work out if your device is weak, then it can swap it over from 5 to 2 to give better signal, because we know that goes a much greater length in distance. Or if it's very good number, then it will basically give you, it'll upgrade you to, if it's capable of the device, to 5 and the 6 gigahertz frequency as well. So that's how it does its band steering. That's one of the things that it looks for when it's looking there. So it does give you some little bit of information here, but it does, as I said, it is quite overwhelming sometimes when you see these logs. But you can see around here about the deauthentication. So this is when your device is being keeps disconnecting. Sometimes this can actually show if a device keeps authenticating from the network, that it's got a very weak signal, so perhaps you need to get another router closer to there to start a mesh network. Or it could be some devices have been interfered with, so someone's trying to do, like we've seen sometimes where you've seen on the news perhaps, where burglars and people like that basically have got jammers and they're trying to deauthenticate your devices so it disconnects from the network and things like that. Again, that's quite rare, so most of the time these deauthentication, as you can see on the log, will basically show you that it's because it's too far away, and perhaps you need to set the device, instead of connecting to the 5 or 6, it needs to connect to the 2.4, even though it will hamper your speeds and everything else. It just might need that distance for a solid connection that's connecting all the time. So as you can see, as we said, you can clear this log or you can save it down, and we can then analyze it offline and everything else. So again, it does incorporate a lot of information here for you to understand, and we'll come on to actually understanding this in greater detail and identifying the devices, because you can use the MAC address and then you'll need to find that via your network map. and then basically within there you can actually have a look there to see what your MAC address of your device is. Even on the Asus router app, or router app, you could see on there what the device's MAC address is, and you can match it that way. So you can see that if it's an IP camera, your video doorbell or something like that, that keeps disconnecting all the time. So and it's constantly updating here, so, and it'll give you an idea as well when it's either CPU or the RAM or anything else is having issues as well. And again, this is just a much more detailed log, and it's quite in depth, as I said, so quite overwhelming sometimes, but it's good to have a look through here for yourself and just to see if there's anything untoward you see constantly happening through here. Next, we've got the wireless log. So if we click on this one, so as it says, it's the wireless log. So what this does is basically give you all the information on your wireless network. It'll tell you your ID, your MAC address. It'll tell you the noise, the channel that you're using for the certain bands, and 2.4, and then if it's using the 20 or 40 megahertz channel, then your 5 gigahertz and your 6 gigahertz. So it'll show you what's enabled and supported, and then you can basically see the numbers here of how it's actually working through. Most of this is just for information, but it's always good to see, just to identify what channel you're using, because you can use that in your Wi-Fi settings, but also it's quite good just to have a look here to see what the supported rates are, and also some information around the networks and which one is supporting what bands and what megahertz and frequency they're using. So again, it's basically the detailed wireless status of your network. And again, you can use that in coordination with any like apps you can download to like Wi-Fi analyzers to see how your network is doing and if you have any issues. The DHCP, so that again, this, as we've covered previously, so what this does is basically this identifies and shows related settings to your MAC address, the IP address, and then leasing times. So basically every time your router gives you a new IP address, it'll basically that will assign it to that MAC address and then give you a host name if you've set up a custom one, but also it gives you a lease time, so that's like an expiry time. So every time it'll try and give you a certain time, so it could be like 24 hours or 2 days or longer, and basically give you that IP address, and sometimes it will refresh that IP address to reconnect again with you. So you can have a look here to see what the devices are. So it should give you a host name, sometimes it doesn't come up with it, but you can see the IP address and the MAC address, and then as we said, the expiry time, as you can see here. So again, it just gives you some more information on the devices actually connected to your network. Then we have IP version 6. So if you have IP version 6 enabled on your router, this will give you all the information around the WAN IP version 6 address. As you can see, your WAN, your LAN, the link local address, and then your DNS servers if they support IP version 6 as well. And again, it's got a LAN device list here as well, as you can see, where you've got the MAC address, but then you've got the IP version 6 address for that device as well. So that gives you that a quite clear little table there of the IP version 6 addresses if you need to have a look at that. So now moving on to the system log routing table. So basically this gives you a detailed status. So as you can see here, we have a destination, a gateway, the genmask, flags, metric, reference, use, type, and interface. So it basically just gives you again a lot more information. So in simple terms, this Asus router system log section shows you basically a set of rules that the router uses to determine where to send data packets, destination for various network locations. Think of it as a roadmap for network traffic. So basically the destination or network host IP, this is the IP address or network range that the data packet is trying to reach. We have the net mask, or a subnet mask sometimes it's called. So this identifies the range of IP addresses for the destination network. It helps the router identify whether a destination IP is within a specific network. We have gateway, or sometimes it's also called a next hop. This is the IP address of the next route basically of the device that the packet should be sent on its way to the final destination. If the destination is on a direct connected network, this might show as 0.0.0.0, or the router's own IP on that interface. Again, you have the interface, so that indicates which of the router's network connections, like the LAN, the WAN, or a specific Ethernet port like ETH0 or VLAN. Also, it will come up as like VLAN 2, will be used to send the packets towards the gateway or destination. You'll have the metric, so this is the number that represents the basically the cost or preference of a particular route. Lower metrics basically are generally preferred when multiple routes are set, the same destination exists. Flags and status, so sometimes these flags indicate the status of the route. If it's up and active, then this type of route will show different kind of statuses here. In simple terms, the routing table is the Asus router system log. It shows which kind of road or interface to use to reach the next kind of gateway, on the way to a specific address or a kind of destination IP network, and also indicates how good that particular kind of network traffic or road, as you could think of it as, is actually performing. The routers basically has these tables in a few ways. It can split them down, so you can see on some of these as well where it's going to have like different statuses, where you can go through and it will show you lots of different kind of thing where it's actually showing you in simple terms of the router. So it could show you kind of a directly connected networks, a static route or a dynamic one, and these are learned automatically basically from the routing protocols that are set up, and then also allows the router to adapt to change to network topology, the kind of how you set up the network kind of thing. So this again, the system log is basically table is essentially provides a snapshot of the critical decision making data in a particular time. It's very useful for troubleshooting network connectivity issues for your actual main network, for the WAN, the LAN kind of connections, and it shows exactly how the route thinks it should be taken, and also how it's directing the traffic. So you can use this to go through. Again, it's quite complicated. You might have to have a quick look at this up, but this is just giving you a general overview. If you ever do have any troubleshooting, again, you can look at this to actually see what's happening and everything else. So port forwarding, as it says, this basically shows if you have anything port forwarded open, but also if you're using the UPnP protocol and you've got that switched on, I always advise you should be always switching that off, even though it comes on by default. It's quite a big security issue, and it's been known for many years. I know some people prefer it because it's like on their printers and some devices they can just push one button on each thing or enter a code. But for security and everything else, and just for the sake of just 5 minutes of typing in a password, I would say basically have this feature switched off, the UPnP, and that's in your admin settings. Again, you can go into, and I've done previous videos. So again, as I said, this will show you everything that you've opened up in port forwarding, and this is a very good table to see what you're opening up to the internet. Again, port forwarding is opening ports actually on your network, so people could actually, if they're doing a port scan or anything like that, or there's lots of bots out there and they're going to be searching for things. So if you do have any ports open, this will show you, and you can basically identify to make sure and verify that these are the ports that you have generally opened and what devices has created it. And lastly, we have connections. So again, this is basically a history log of active connections. Basically, the table provides a snapshot of all the network connections currently passing through or being managed by the router. It essentially lists the active data sessions between devices on your local network and servers and devices on the internet, or even between devices within your local network if they're communicating via the router. This table typically shows the protocol, so this is the type of internet protocol that's used for the connection. So it could be TCP, UDP, a source IP or port. So this is the IP address and port number of the device initiating the connection. So usually a device on your local network. The destination IP and port. So this is the IP address and port number of the device or server the source device is connecting to, often on the internet. And lastly, we've got state. So that state is the current status of the particular TCP connection. So again, you'll see on the states they're quite confusing. You'll have things like assured, closed wait, and then SYN sent, and unreplied as well. So there's quite a few different ones that you'll see. And again, what does all that mean? So assured you might see on there. So this state indicates that the connection has seen traffic in both directions, in and out, and is considered established and an active connection. So for TCP, this means the three-way handshake was completed and data is being exchanged. For UDP and ICMP, it simply means the packets have been seen in both directions. So you also might see close or established or close wait. So established, this is the normal state once a TCP connection is open and ready to transfer data after its initial three-way handshake. So that's like basically connecting and making sure that's basically secure and genuine. We've got close and wait. So this state indicates that the remote end of the connection, the server or the other device, has closed its side of the connection. So it's basically sent a special packet called the FIN, and then the router or the local device whose connection is being traced or tracked has acknowledged it and now is waiting for a local application to close its side of the connection. The term closed established isn't a standard TCP state in itself, but might be. So it's normally used by Asus in a way of representing an established connection that is in the process of closing, or it could be in more general terms around an active connection. So basically Asus have sometimes put in their own states. You might see also the sys or SYN sent. So in TCP, this state means that the local application has sent an SYN or synchronization packet to a remote host to initiate a connection and is now waiting for an acknowledgement coming back. So a synchronization acknowledgement response back for the three-way handshake. If it stays in this state for too long, it might indicate a problem reaching the destination or that the destination isn't responding. And then you'll have unreplied. So that state typically means that a connection has been identified, and initiated and has been sent from the source to the destination, but there has been no reply from the destination. So that's your device on your network is trying to connect to the internet and it's not getting a reply back. This is common with connectionless protocols like UDP, where replies aren't guaranteed, or it could indicate there's basically a TCP synchronization packet hasn't been received a response. But perhaps also Asus denote this as a broader lack of any return of traffic from certain types of connections. So basically, I think Asus are using this status to say that there's been no response back. So in summary, the active connections table helps you see what your network devices are communicating with in real time, and the state tells you where in the life cycle each basically connection is. So again, it's more information. It's a bit overwhelming, as I said, going through all of these tabs and understanding them. These ones here, except for the general tab, you can only just view. Of course, you can also copy and paste. So you can go to the table and then you can copy these as well, information into a text file if you want to. And the general log is the one where you can actually save that log down. You can get other logs as well. So if you have a VPN or IPsec server running, there's an option there where you can download the VPN server log as well. And that gives you more information if you're having issues with the basically your IPsec VPN server. So again, using these as well. So if you're having issues, or if you're not having issues, then probably no need to look at these. But again, it's always nice to understand what's happening on your network and you can use some of this information sometimes to identify issues that you might not realize. But also, if you are having troubleshooting problems, like a device keeps disconnecting, you can see from these logs, especially from the general one, you can see here basically if a device keeps disconnecting and re-authenticating and de-authenticating, things like that, you can track its basically MAC address. And as we said, you can see on one of the other logs, on the DHCP, you can see straight away what that device is and try and look it up. And perhaps you need to then have a look to see if it does keep disconnecting, it might be because you haven't got a weak signal. Try and swap it from the 5 to the 2.4, or if that's not possible, trying to look into an AI mesh system, or basically another mesh system if you've got a different kind of router setup. Again, I hope you found this video useful. What I'm trying to do in future is actually build a tool so you can save all these logs, and then basically my tool will actually analyze this information for you, so you don't even have to think about it. So if you are having trouble, or even if you're just curious of what is going on in your router, what improvements you can make, with the tool I'm trying to build is basically you'll either upload your the general log, or you can copy and paste in some of the other logs, and it'll give you the analysis of basically the breakdown of what it's showing you and how to fix it if there is any issues with it. Again, around privacy, I'm going to make sure that it doesn't save it on any servers or anything like that, so it'll just save it locally in your system memory, and when you log off it gets deleted. So hopefully I can build that tool out, and then once I've been published it and everything else, then I will do a new video and go through the tool with you. So hopefully you'll find it useful. Okay, thank you very much for watching, and I hope you found this video useful as usual. I'd love to hear your comments and anything else around system logs. And as I said, most people probably will never look at these, but hopefully if I can build a tool that makes things a little bit easier for people, we can get in-depth troubleshooting, a bit more information through these, and make life easier for everyone that's got Asus routers. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.